Hi there. Welcome to my website. Hope you'll read my column this week. I talked a little bit about something called retail politics. And those of you that just peripherally follow politics don't really realize it's been a stalwart way to campaign in states all over the country. Louisiana has a rich tradition of retail politicking, particularly because of the characters we've had in politics. Going back to Huey Long, who drew large crowds when he would go around the state. Often he'd give away hams. His brother Earl Long, when he was governor, gave away watermelons, chickens, and the crowds would come by the thousands. Edwin Edwards was very successful at drawing large crowds. Probably the largest he spoke before is when he introduced presidential candidate John Kennedy at the Crowley Rice Festival back in about 1960, when Kennedy kicked off his campaign for president. The first big rally that Kennedy ever had was at the Crowley Rice Festival. Again, 200,000 people down there. I went to the Crowley Rice Festival on a number of occasions when I was running for Secretary of State, campaigning for re-election for insurance commissioner. And what I would do is I'd try to get there about an hour before the parade started. Say it started at 2 o'clock. I'd have a great big convertible with my name plastered all over it, lots of candy and beads and doubloons. I had my own little doubloon made up that I would have lined up. I'd get there about an hour before, so I'd be right at the head of the line. Then I would work the whole crowd of elected officials, so many elected officials, mayors, police jurors, local officials, congressmen, other candidates for statewide office. They'd all be there lining up, and I'd visit with them and work the whole crowd. Then the parade would start, and I'd throw all my trinkets to the parade group. And then once the parade was over, I was out of there to get home, or go to the next stop. And it became a real tradition. And I've had fond memories, as I mentioned, the Rice Festival, up at the Pecan Festival in Grant Parish, a small parish. They got a wonderful festival up there in Colfax. I was always a regular up there. Bob Odom, the former Commissioner of Agriculture, who passed away a few years back, and I used to go together. We'd fly up there on a Saturday morning, make the parade, and get back home for other events, or back with our family on the Saturdays. The Peach Festival up in Ruston, the Watermelon Festival I'd always go to up in Farmerville. And you had the Catfish Festival in Des Allemands that was a regular on the stop. And so many, the Frog Festival in Rain, I know was what I'd often go to. And the Seafood Festival, the Great Seafood Festival down in Morgan City, was a must stop starting Labor Day weekend. You always went there, and several friends of mine would have a reception at their home, and I'd always make it a point to go by there. And so it was just fun, and I'd often take my kids with me. They would enjoy the parades. Well, none of that happens anymore. It just doesn't happen anymore. Television and social media dominate the scene. And some of these candidates that have so much money, they don't feel like they've got to do that. And so I think it's a real loss. And I know some people say, well, it's not worth it. I think it is. Even when you have social media, you see what happens. So many people take their phones and want to take a selfie of the event. They put that on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and other people see that you were at that festival. So it enlarges itself many times over. And I think that in spite of the fact that it's a television-run media for campaigning, the newspapers aren't as prevalent anymore, that going out and shaking the hands at these large events, particularly when you can focus on yourself, particularly when you can ride in the parades and have your name there where thousands and thousands of people see you, is a real good investment of time. But again, that doesn't seem to be the wherewithal. My checks around at the various festivals show that very few candidates go and do that kind of thing. The other problem with the not retailing campaigning is that this out-of-state money flows into many of these campaigns, and these candidates spend their time reaching out. The campaigns become more and more expensive. Decent people who want to run can't afford to run anymore. So it's just something that I don't think is healthy for us on the state level. I don't think it's healthy for democracy. It's a way of life, and I think that's what's going to happen as we approach a big campaign in Louisiana in October. Hey, glad you watched. Hope you'll read my column, and hope you'll tune in again next week. Take care.
It's about 96 degrees in the afternoon. Overnight, mostly clear with lows in the 70s. Dry and sunny conditions expected for the